I don't know about you, but every time I watch a
Catfish, Dr. Phil, social catfish episode, or any romance scam documentary,
I die a little. Because of the heartbreak these people experience, the disturbingly obvious reality checks, and the fact they really cannot see their mistakes. So it's basically a unicorn when a victim can see their flaws and acknowledge they had part of the blame. Not all of it, of course. I mean, they were scammed. We saw it a little with Janie. She said how her ego was involved in the decisions, and we are going to see another case of 53-year-old Diane found a hobby in African drums, although that hobby turned into a legit fascination. She had no family left, so in her freedom, Diane went to Gambia to experience real African drumming and learn from them. And it seems she was having a lot of fun.
I'd been playing and learning West African percussion for several years, and a group of us went to Gambia to spend 2 weeks there to study with authentic djembe folas, which is drum masters from Guinea.
Now, an interesting fact, Diane had a breakup 5 months before it. Probably the drums helped her a lot during the breakup. Pure assumptions, I don't know this lady. But still, she was acceptable. She hyper-focused on a hobby and found so much happiness in it. She ventured on another country and found herself involved with someone she was looking up to. A teacher bringing her knowledge and company. A hot teacher, according to her. His name is Mobe? The documentary doesn't put it in writing, but I mean, he's a scammer, so who gives a f***?
We'd had a beach party one night, all the students and the musicians. He approached me from behind and he touched the small of my back. I didn't know who it was, but I remember turning around and being surprised to see that it was him, because it was strangely emotional.
Oi, on a beach? At night? Was it at night? It was dark in my mind. Listening to the waves crashing in this beautiful scenario, experiencing so many new adventures and emotions, and then you feel the touch of a man on the lower part of your back? Oh, comments? Ladies? Guys? I am a prude, but she could have had a good time in Africa. But the thing is, Diane wanted more. They created a bond and the relationship with Moby became long distance.
If I thought practically this is likely not to work, but love is like an addiction, I needed to be with him, I wanted to be with him, and when I wasn't with him, it was difficult.
That's self-reflection. I mean, it seems she has a lot of emotional maturity and was blinded by the circumstances. And probably she wanted to leave her previous relationship in the past. Maybe she felt ready, which is interesting, because how do you know you are really over your ex and you are not just trying to rush the process? Because I don't think it's a matter of time, but a feeling.
He had mentioned marriage and I was a little bit alarmed. I wasn't naive. I knew that there was a risk that this wasn't genuine.
2 years later.
And after all of that, she still married the dude.
Disappointed!
Again, speculations. I don't think she was ready. Maybe she missed having someone by her side and Moped filled that void. She wasn't in love with him, but loved the idea of them together. Diane got a rude awakening straight after the wedding. Mobile was so happy, like suspiciously happy.
He was celebrating with his friends, really, and he wasn't celebrating marrying the love of his life. He now had in his possession a wedding certificate.
She still started the process of bringing him to the UK legally. Once Moped arrived at Diane's house, she noticed he was carrying a barely empty suitcase. He was supposedly staying in the marriage home for good, and yet he brought next to nothing with him. Add that to the countless red flags we have seen in this episode.
I thought, wow, he's expecting me to just buy him a whole wardrobe of clothes and has no concept of money.
Mofo wanted Diane to be his brand new mommy, paying for everything while he looked for a job. I mean, he had money, but it was either too little or he just didn't want to give any of it. 3 years later, the main breadwinner, buying him stuff, buying and giving money to his relatives in Gambia, Diane squeezed her wallet until all her savings were gone. Last trip to Gambia, Moby went along because Diane had no more money, and that was the beginning of the end.
When he went, everything changed. I had Skype calls from him and he would say, "Don't contact me." And I said, "What do you mean, don't contact you? You're my husband, what's happening?"
He stayed 3 months, but later came back. Diane snooped on his luggage and found something deep down she already knew.
It's a description of how to apply for citizenship without having to be in a marriage any longer. He, of course, said, I've never seen that piece of paper before in my life.
He waited those 3 years for a reason. He knew the UK laws about citizenship and planned everything. Him jumping of joy at his wedding was for a good reason. The plan was going great for him, and he was just another step to be legal in Europe. The marriage collapsed and Momo moved to the guest bedroom.
He decided to hole himself up in the spare bedroom. I was sitting downstairs and he came down and sat on the stairs halfway down, and he just sat on the stairs playing with his tablet. And I remember feeling strangely, desperately sorry for him.
It probably looked like a punished teenager avoiding mom, but in reality he was so happy now that he had the freedom to go anywhere he wanted. The parasite left, but not before saying some words to remember him by.
He said to me in Susu, your mother is an unrepeatable word. A terrible, terrible thing to say to me.
Diane's mom is long gone. I honestly don't know his age, but he looks significantly young. He reminds me of those kids on an Xbox chat saying the worst possible things that they know they are horrible but don't know the extent of it. Momo said those words because of his entitlement and ignorance. He felt invincible and probably saw Diane as someone inferior to him, someone to use as an object to get what he wanted. Involving people who are no longer with us and cannot defend themselves just to hurt someone? There needs to be a law that allows people to be thrown in volcanoes. This left a tough mark on Diane.
I lost 8 teeth at the back. I had alopecia, my hair started to fall out, and I also gained weight.
She made a wonderful decision to see a therapist. She wanted to know what the hell happened. Diane spent a whole year trying to pull herself back together. There were so many emotions, it was overwhelming. Her physical health is now okay, but she is confused about what she feels.
What we tend to do with our rose-colored spectacles is disregard anything that doesn't fit. You can't fully be blamed because you actually saw a progression there that you could believe in.
Yes, no romance scam victim has all the blame at all. And truly, a lot of them want a relationship, a true meaningful one. You don't go through life thinking people are going to do horrible things to you, and when you find someone to date, you don't immediately think they must be liars or scammers. That's disturbingly unhealthy. In Diane's case, her feelings were clear and pure, although she saw those red flags from the very beginning and completely removed them from her eyesight. The good thing is she acknowledges what happened and where the mistakes were made.
Shortly after Mo Bear arrived in the UK, he asked me to open his email, and jumping out at me was an email that he'd sent to a lady in Holland, emails that he used to send to me that were promises of love and devotion.
Probably that email was heavily scripted. Probably the guy friends are all in this together, hence why that piece of paper in Moby's luggage didn't have his handprint. They are all scammers. Allegedly, of course. Diane met a friend at a cafe. This was an interesting conversation because David, here, was hearing what the local men in Gambia were thinking about Western women and how to approach them.
How do you find a woman? What age range do you go for? What are the easiest to attract? Once you're in England, stories would come back about how you manipulate things in England and how you go about it.
That's predatory behavior. Imagine, they will spot the victim with a specific profile, then they will seek, follow, seduce, manipulate, marry, and get what they want.
Unacceptable!
What he did was massive. He left his friends, his family, his culture to be in the UK, make a good amount of money to send home to build a house for his terribly impoverished family.
Does it really matter why he did this? Because excusing his behavior to, oh, his family is super poor, so I get it. Like the scammer LaToya was talking to, saying he had to do what he had to do and God is okay with that. Their mentality is completely off. That's entitlement.
I made that decision based on what I believed to be the truth, that we were in love, that we had a future together. We're all lies.
Yeah, she has a portion of the blame here. To herself. She knew Moby was going to be a problem. She was trying to protect herself, but ultimately Diane refused to hear herself and continue with the fairy tale she concocted in her head. It's clear she knows and understands why all of this happened, but still carries a lot of anger within her. She needs to forgive herself for what happened and let him go. He, at best, is a waste of space, and at worst, a perpetual nightmare.
Damn!
What do you think about this? Tell me in the comments. This was quite a heavy one because there was a lot of self-reflection to take in. Plus the part where Momo insults Diane's mom. What a piece of shit this guy is. I hope karma can kick his ass someday. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like. It really helps. Unlike this story, Michelle over here, instead of taking accountability, blames the laws for what happened to her. Thank you for watching.
He said to me in Susu, your mother is an unrepeatable word. A terrible, terrible thing to say to me.
Yeah, you suck.